our first impressions of Pokemon glitched and bugged. Okay, I kind of want to hear a little bit of this first.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody!
Happy Thanksgiving!
What up?
Hey, so Pokemon sucks.
Fuck, I can't remember his name. I don't even know this guy's name at all, but I knew this guy's name at one point and I can't remember it. Wood. That's his name. Non-Tendo podcast. Ah, what the fuck?
What a way to start.
We haven't talked about it at all. You keep asking me about it, but I
Bob.
can't save it for the podcast. I want to save it for the
Bob's
podcast.
been
Wood
here all
and
day,
Bob.
and we haven't discussed Pokemon at all. I think
It feels it's very strange because
Let's
I've
speed
been
it
here
up a
all
little
day.
bit.
We have
I
nothing
know.
to talk about. It's the only
I
thing to
know.
talk about because we literally just played it.
we were sat eating dinner before we went to go live, and everyone was so quiet.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is no one talking?
I literally don't want to say
I don't
anything.
wanna ruin
We have a whole
anything.
podcast
We're
to
gonna
do.
end up talking about Pokemon.
Yeah.
And then Jordan showed up. He was supposed to be at Amori for the Friendsgiving. Showed up a day early, which I love. And immediately the Pokemon talk started.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, shut up!
Everyone, shut it!
We have a lot to say. I think my thoughts are very public already. I put out what apparently is a banger tweet today.
I put out one yesterday. One today. Every time you talk about Pokemon, especially in a
Yeah.
negative light, people are
Yeah.
gonna go all over it.
Yeah.
Oh,
it
yeah.
Got picked up
Most
in the
definitely.
algorithm. And I did like a 7-hour stream last night.
Pokemon's huge.
In my house, we streamed the game, and yeah, we both made our thoughts very clear on it during the live. So you probably know how I feel.
Yeah.
But because I was live, I didn't get to watch your stream.
Yeah.
So I have no idea how you feel. Although I can assume.
I didn't get 7 hours into it like you did. I
Yeah.
only got like 3,
Yeah.
maybe.
It's rough.
because I took a lot of pauses and I took a lot of notes. I have a whole
You have notes?
Oh my God.
notes because when
I did like the first.
going into it. I knew
hour.
it looked terrible.
I need to
Here's
do
my-
more of it.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my God.
Before we do any of this, Bob, you were never gonna like this game. There's no world where you enjoyed a Pokemon game.
Before
Really?
when we saw the trailers and stuff, it looks
Why?
bad, and it definitely still looks
Pokemon
bad.
games
It
are
was gonna
fun.
look bad, and I've been crapping all over Pokemon because
Yeah.
I hate the most recent games and how things have been going.
Uh-huh.
I have a lot of
Yeah.
little tiny grievances, and that's why I wanted to make a list because all these little tiny grievances are hard to remember,
No, I
and
know.
they all add up.
Yeah. I'm
And
glad
you-
I might
it-
steal your list for my review.
it's
so I'm actually
continue-
writing it down. That's a
just-
whole ass.
hold on.
like,
It's a whole
2-page
ass list
of pros and cons.
I didn't think I was gonna add a pros section.
I'm actually very excited for that.
I actually don't hate it.
There's some cool
Everybody's-
things.
I don't.
It's just
it
there's so
looks
many other bad
horrible,
things.
But
Yeah.
I think I like it. I'm having a better experience
Wow.
than I did in the other more recent Pokemon games on the Switch.
Now this is wild to me because it has just as much, if not
Even Diamond? Diamond's great though.
more talking than Arceus.
But I guess it's just a
Well,
remake.
And
Yes.
yet Arceus is completely free and open once you get rolling. What is it about this game that's better than that?
So I'm not very far. I'm in the academy. I barely got
You
out.
haven't even got out
Yeah,
of
I
the
haven't
bad
got-
part yet.
yeah.
What are you liking about it?
It let me there was like a little bit of wiggle room where you were like out in the open for like 2 seconds, going
Yeah.
from one town
Yeah,
to
yeah,
another
yeah,
town. And that felt awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty
I
good.
was stopping at every single Pokemon because like, oh, I need that one. Oh, I
Yeah,
need this
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
And it felt really good. And
That's
it felt
that's-
very seamless.
That's the similar feeling I had in Arceus too, which is like, yeah, you're going from A to B, but on the way you get distracted by this Pokemon, that Pokemon.
My biggest grievance with Pokemon lately has been the menu systems. They're like convoluted and things don't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I really feel like they streamlined a lot of it in this
yeah,
game.
I haven't really even used a menu.
It's my favorite part
Yeah.
of the whole experience. And so there is a lot of dialogue. I think this game, it's a necessity to play
You
with
are
a
so
controller.
jazzed right now.
I know.
You have so much to say.
I have a list.
I have said nothing on this podcast so far.
There-
Why? Where am I?
I think it's a necessity to play this game with a turbo controller.
Apparently
You
in
just
your own
hold
head.
A
Yeah.
And just blast through. And I've done that in other Pokemon
100%.
games, but in other Pokemon games, there's a little bit of a lag between dialogue
Yeah.
options
I'm loving your
and a
energy.
little bit of a lag between like moves and stuff.
Yeah.
And this game, there's no lag at all. You hold the turbo and it just blasts through everything.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
But that should be in the game.
No, it should be.
It should be
It
an option in the game. So
I
you're
have a
blasting.
story about that.
You should be blasting through stuff, and then when it gets to like a dialogue option,
Yeah.
it like stops. You
Yeah.
know, that's how like a normal game would be. I think
don't
in
wanna-
older games you hold B, and it goes through the whole dialogue.
I have so many points to add to so many of the points you are saying, but I do not
I have
want
a whole list we
I
gotta
don't
get
want to
through.
interrupt your flow. So if you want to keep spitting.
That's the big points to me was that
Okay.
my biggest grievances with the old Pokemon games is a lot of the menu stuff, and they streamlined a lot of it. And I have a list of all the things that they streamlined, and I have a bigger list of things that I think I basically ended up just backseat developing. I was like
Yeah.
coming up with solutions for things that I was
that's
mad
a
about.
Pokemon experience, I
know.
think, these
It's
days.
not like I'm a dev. It's just things that I think would have
Well,
made the
we
game a
all
little better.
know how to make Pokemon games better, and none of us are devs. So.
None of us are kids, and these games
No.
are clearly
Oh
kids'
my
games.
god, yeah. This one more than
Yeah.
I think some of the recent ones, I started to realize I'm complaining
a little
about a game that is
jarring.
made for children.
Yes.
You haven't got there yet, but the first gym you come across, to battle the gym, you have to find 10 of the sunflower Pokemon hidden around the world, and they follow you when you find one. It's like, oh, you found me, and it is.
What if I told you that's not the first gym?
Yeah.
Well,
That's the second gym.
It's you can go to
You
wherever.
go to the first gym I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it won't be
I don't think it matters what gym it is, but yeah,
It's
no,
open world
it's.
now. Do what you want.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about these games.
Oh my god, I am just like a child. I have so much freedom.
So that's the thing. I'm like, I enjoyed what like a little bit of. I enjoyed a little slice of what I think the rest of the game will be like, but I'm not there yet. So I feel bad forming a thoughtful opinion.
I think
on
a lot
it
of what
right
you
now,
said
know?
is valid, even to the extra like double that I and Scoot have played. I will say that I hated everything up until out of that academy. Like
That's
I
interesting.
blasted through that academy.
I mean, it is an ugly game.
Yeah,
and there's
ugly,
really
hideous.
no excuse for how
So
horrible it
hideous.
looks and runs.
so much dialogue.
There really
and it's the
isn't.
same repetitive dialogue from every single game. But as soon as
Well, I
you're
don't even. That's part of maybe your problem.
I
I
did.
didn't even look at any of the dialogue.
me, the king.
Oh, okay.
This is the first time that both Scoot. I don't know if you've done it before, but we were both doing it where we were like, we ain't reading this. We just. I mean, we're trying to stream as well, so we're trying to just like get into the action and co-op it. But honestly, I didn't miss a thing. Like I have no idea what's happening in the story, and I don't care.
I'd rather not have a start button to skip through it. I'd rather just hold A and go through the whole thing because I want to see what's happening.
You know what's
I don't need
wild?
to read it.
And I had a whole moment on stream last night where I got really pissy with chat. But someone was like, because I'm trying to skip everything, right? And someone's like, there's an option in settings you can skip cutscenes.
I hate this. Has happened with every Pokemon game. Everybody says there's an option. There
I
are
know,
options. And then you
I
read
know.
through all the options. Like, where's the option
Well,
that
the
you're
thing
talking
is,
about?
there is an option, and it says skip cutscenes. And I was
Yeah,
like,
but it's for.
it's only like the really cool pre-rendered ones that happen 3
No, I
times
thought
in
it was
the game.
only battles.
No. It actually does. It actually does.
That's
cut,
battle animation. That's something different.
It actually does cut story cutscenes, but it
Those are the cool
literally
ones,
it cuts
yeah.
the cool ones. Like
Yeah.
I want the dialogue ones cut. I want those gone.
Yeah. I actually kind of like the little thing in the beginning with the legendary Pokemon. Like I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
The little cave thing.
Yeah, that was cool.
But
that was the
no,
part I was getting
I
frustrated.
kinda
The
think
cave
it's
was just
dumb.
ugly. I said this looks like Shadows of the Empire for the Nintendo 64.
Yeah, it's a,
I also
yeah,
think like, and people have disagreed with me, but I think it's really dumb to have your box legendary just be your vehicle for the game. That just takes, and for you to get it from the get-go, that just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like as special as like a legendary should. I think it was Caden that brought up that, like, okay, what if the box legendary is different and it isn't like the like hidden legendaries are the ones that are like actually like the Reggie Ice line or the Reggie line in Pokemon Sapphire and Emerald and Ruby. But I don't know. I didn't really. I thought that was kind of dumb.
I am also enjoying the game as much as one can. But yeah, it is absolutely hideous. And
It's ugly, yeah.
how many technical glitches and issues have you come across?
I mean, the frame rate is absolutely abysmal. There's, I saw somebody
That's
on Twitter, Will Davis.
That's part of what stops me from playing it. Is that the frame rate is so bad. It's just stuttering. I might give it another shot after I finish up some Cyberpunk things. But like, God, for as much hate as Cyberpunk got, here we are 2 years after, and it's not as buggy as it was. It's still kind of buggy, but
Showed characters T-posing at the end of a cutscene.
Oh my God.
One of my things.
wait,
on
did
here
he
is almost
mention Point Crow's
every single cutscene
stream?
ends with a pop.
Which is one can. But yeah, it is absolutely hideous. And
It's ugly, yeah.
how many technical glitches and issues have you come across?
I mean, the frame rate is absolutely abysmal. There's, I saw somebody on Twitter, Willow Davis, showed characters T-posing at the end of a cutscene.
Oh my God.
One of my things on here is almost every single cutscene ends with a pop-in.
Yes. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
The characters pop in or pop out.
From the little bit that I played,
Same
yep.
pop-in happened that I had to show you because it was so crazy. It was when we got out of the school, and when we got out of the school, I was like waiting to like move around, and only a character's hair rendered in. That's
Yeah.
it.
He showed
And
me.
we just saw a floating blob
There
of
was just
hair.
a floating blob of hair walking. To just try and think of some of the best ones we had last night. There's a pretty common one where in the catching animation, you throw the ball and it shows the ball traveling through the air. That period where it's traveling through the air is pretty big for like glitching and breaking and like everything behind in the background like not loading in correctly and like just looking like an absolute mess. Because something that the game is obviously doing is struggling, but trying to load everything in when you're looking at it and then taking it away as soon as it can. So when it's cutting to this in-game shot of a ball really quickly from a character and then to the Pokemon, it's just having a really hard time going, boom, here's this side view now, and then boom, back here. So that's just like not loading in for a lot of people.
Yeah.
When you catch a Pokemon and it shows like the Pokemon, being caught, it seems to be at a fixed camera angle. So if you catch a Pokemon on a hill or something, it'll still be fixed, and you can see underneath the game a lot of the time.
That's one of my grievances is when you
That's
enter a battle,
silly.
the camera angle seems to be a weird fixed sort of thing. So if you are on a hill, it's just completely broken.
Yeah, you can see like the game underneath and stuff.
I've had weird instances with both. Have you ever, when you're catching a Pokemon, it doesn't even snap to the catching animation. It just shows from your character throwing a ball and it does the whole catching sequence, but it never snaps in. And then when you're getting into the battle, because it has the same structure as Arceus, where the battle just kind of starts and it's right there, and you can see every angle you want of the battle now instead of a fixed. Like,
so many people say it so differently. I thought it was Arceus.
Because of that freedom, the camera constantly has issues, and it's hard to see what you're battling from a good angle, what's going on. It is a little annoying. And Arceus, I thought, was okay with that. I never had like, oh, that's an obvious problem. In this game, almost every instance of a wild Pokemon, there's a weird issue.
There are so many issues. With that camera as well being free now in the battles, Scoot and I had an issue last night often where when you move the camera during the battle, it would flick between day and night.
Oh,
Where
yeah.
you position the camera.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
That kept happening.
I don't know why there's so many technical issues.
Had such a funny one today because we were actually playing the game today.
That one was
And we
insane.
had a wild one where we were playing co-op, and every time Scoot got on his bike Pokemon, he would also snap onto mine. So we were inside each other. I have a recording of it on the 30
recorded
seconds.
yourselves inside each other? Where'd you post it?
We were OnlyFans. That's extra for yeah, we were inside each other, and then if he got off his bike, I would see him like get up and stand off. It was so weird.
It took us like 5 minutes to understand what was happening because it was like, oh,
He would
you're
just pop
there.
in every
Now
now
you're
and then.
gone.
Now you're gone.
I was on a different side of the map, and I finally noticed Wood was bringing it up when I was hitting the plus button.
When he was getting on the bike.
And I was like, oh my god.
So wild.
We're in completely different loading zones, and I'm still popping into his game.
So just list through some more, because I really feel like...
Wait. I want to know about the multiplayer, because that was my
well,
biggest
let's talk
question
about
mark.
it.
Okay.
Well, let's just
Because I don't know anything
Let's
about
list through a couple more glitches so it doesn't sound like we're being extreme. I had that one last night where my entire game screen went like grayscale. It went like super
That was
smoky
crazy.
and foggy.
We thought someone used haze or something.
And I couldn't I was walking and it was all hazy. I couldn't figure it out. Then I went to like save my game and like restart, and as soon as I hit options, all the color came back. It's just there's so
That's
many,
crazy.
so
It's a lot of little
glitches.
things. It's mostly visual, but it is still a lot of technical stuff too.
A lot of
Like
technical
game-breaking stuff. And
Oh, there's that one with the... Have you seen the giant character?
No, I haven't seen that
When
yet.
you,
That is so
I
when you
saw
get-
it on Twitter.
If you get on and off the bike quick enough, it can become like a giant version of like really lanky with stretched arms and like weird eyes.
I saw that one on
tweeted
Twitter
today
too.
I
That was
think
great.
this game should not have passed the eShop certification.
No,
They have
God,
such a
no.
strict certificate. It's the same sort of situation with Cyberpunk. How Cyberpunk passed all the certification. That's how we all learned that these certifications for these digital storefronts are just like gaff.
Yes.
It's just smoke and mirrors,
Yeah.
and they know that these big AAA companies are going to pass anyway because they want the game to come out. They don't want to be
Exactly.
the one to keep the game from coming out.
And
Why
like these
it
are
got to go
these are
through? It's because it's their own thing.
What was the issue there with Cyberpunk though? Like there was a minor issue. There was an issue with it being unplayable on PS4 because it was designed for next gen hardware. But then also wasn't. I'm gonna do this over here. Wasn't it like also making people's graphics cards burn up? Early day bug problems. Apparently there's a Takamura game-breaking bug. In 2020, unpatched game has severe problems. Have less bugs now. I could swear I remember hearing about it catching people's graphics cards on fire. I mean, hey, at least it's not doing that.
yeah.
Like with Cyberpunk, they were able to kick it off because it's a third party.
Well, no, but they let it go because they were
did
like,
let
oh,
it
it's
go,
CD
though, yeah.
Projekt. They're going to be fine.
And just like with Cyberpunk as well, yeah, this game is being heavily compared to Cyberpunk for the level of like performance issues and glitches.
A lot of people, when Cyberpunk came out, they said this is a good game that's troubled by a lot of technical issues.
Yeah.
I didn't see Cyberpunk that way. I was like, if they fix this game, I would still hate this game.
That was my whole review that I made.
I think that Pokemon is a good game.
I think
Yes,
they're
from
both.
what I've played,
I think they're both
that is troubled
objectively
by an
wrong.
insane amount of
I think
technical
that's
issues.
important to say.
I think they're both flat out wrong. Cyberpunk is definitely a good game that was hindered by technical issues, and is still hindered by technical issues. There are a few things like if they don't like Cyberpunk, then they also by extension don't like Skyrim or like Fall. It has a very like kind of Fallout New Vegas kind of feel with it being in first person and being primarily a first person shooter. I feel like you could you know, like they don't like Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs was third person though.
Because like,
I think they really did do a lot of new fun things with the game design.
I'm glad you saw that because I was telling you that leading up to it that they did change a lot.
But every time they would show more in trailers, I just had 1,000 more questions.
No, that's fair.
That would only be answered by actually picking it up and playing.
My problem with every single one of the trailers is they were nothing trailers.
Yeah,
I know.
There was
a lot
nothing
The
in
Ed
them.
Sheeran trailer.
I
We're gonna go to the mini mall in Berea that I wanted to go to for months. That my dad says sucks, and then we're gonna go to Walmart.
Okay. I love you. Have a good day.
I will be back before you go to work. You smell good.
Thanks. I put deodorant on. Okay. I love you.
Donna, get out. No.
Get out, Donna.
You're so soft.
She is so soft. She meowed at you.
No, Bobo. No.
I can't tell you how mad I was that they were like, guys, huge trailer.
Yeah, they were like,
9
get
a.m.
up at 9 a.m.
Giant trailer.
And what do we get? 2 seconds of 2 new versions of Dawn Fade.
I was 7 seconds. 7 seconds. I went and counted because I was like so mad, and I still like uploaded a reaction to my YouTube channel, even though I knew I would get copyright claimed, just because I'm like, they showed that entire thing for 7 seconds. That's so
The
dumb.
song does kind of slap.
The song slaps.
Okay, I have a completely different take on the song. That is like my least favorite genre of music, and I hear that song, and everyone's like, oh, it's so good. I'm sitting here, I'm like,
I can't even hum it. I completely.
I don't.
It
I
has
can't even,
nothing
I've
to
heard
do
it
with
several
Pokemon.
times. Don't even know the melody.
It's themed as a Pokemon song, but other than the word Celestial, I don't understand. It's nothing.
And that was the
Pokemon.
problem I had throughout the whole 25th anniversary music thing they did, where they're like, oh, we're getting Katy Perry and this and that, all these artists, and all their songs had zero to do with Pokemon. Instead of getting artists to perform
Oh, wow, that's
Pokemon
pitiful.
songs, like, why couldn't
Like
they
a
get Ariana
Pikachu.
Grande to do the theme song? That would have been cool. That's celebrating Pokemon. The closest we had was Post Malone CGI dancing with Pokemon, singing Hootie and
That
the
sounds like
Blowfish
a
song.
FIFA dream.
That was awesome.
It was a Hootie and the Blowfish song that was related to being in a Pokemon movie. So I was like, okay, I understand that. Everything else was like, it's a regular Popgum generic song with, you know, hey, but look, there's Pokemon in the music video. Is that Pikachu over there? I don't know. I'm just Katy Perry. It's like, congratulations. You turned what could have been really special for the music into a nothing burger. And what we get at the end? Ed Sheeran.
Tell us how you really feel.
I hate it.
I hate it.
Yes, I want to tell you about
I
the
have
co-op.
nothing against Ed Sheeran.
He picked Foy Coco.
Why don't we
because it
give them a
reminds him of
microphone?
Totally.
This was your idea.
I just thought they were here, you know.
I'm sorry.
So the co-op.
The co-op.
Tell me about it. I want to know exactly how it works.
It actually works way better than we thought it would.
Okay.
Other than the glitches, but the glitches are present in the entire game, so you can't really shun it for that.
I'm sure it's worse in the multiplayer.
No.
But well, there's no way of us for really knowing because we've only played really most of it in co-op. So maybe that is causing some extra issues, but we really don't know unless we played on our own for a while.
Yeah.
But clearly there are a lot of people having issues with the game that aren't playing it in co-op.
I was playing a bit on my own today, and that's how I discovered, like, we skipped the entire first section of the game and made the game way harder for ourselves.
Oh, did we actually?
We genuinely did.
I actually lost the gym battle, so
Yeah,
I was like, wow, this game's a little harder than I thought it would be.
The game is actually a little tougher, in my opinion.
I hope
but,
so.
I remember you perfectly started the stream and said, guys, I'm not going to die unless it's the Elite Four, right? It's a Pokemon game.
With like auto battling and like full party experience share, how is it any harder? That I cannot have an opinion on until I play more of the game, but that doesn't make sense to me at all.
Well, I found the wrong gym. Okay.
The co-op to me is not co-op. We're just
let's.
Oh, sorry.
What?
That's okay.
Why?
I wanted to talk about the co-op before we start talking about. All right, you do it.
You're talking about the co-op.
You are talking
Oh
about
yeah,
the
no,
co-op.
go ahead,
Go
talk
ahead,
about
you do it, you
No,
do
you
it.
both played it
You tell
together.
it better,
So
you
I
tell
want
it
to know
better,
what your
Nate.
experiences
well,
were.
the
You
thing
guys
is,
are the co-op.
okay, what happened there is I was about to talk about the co-op and you interrupted me.
Oh, yes.
I thought you were
Shut
gonna
the
say,
fuck up
I
over
thought you
there.
were going to say something before we got to it, and then you're like, the thing about the co-op.
Guys on the YouTube banner. Let's talk about the co-op.
I was going to talk about the co-op.
So the thing about the co-op.
The co-op works like this, Bob.
Yes.
We were worried because in all the trailers leading up to it, weirdly, and it is a thing, they weirdly didn't show any Pokemon
Yes.
in the world when everyone was playing together.
Yeah, every
which is,
single time there's a million questions, and this is the first time that you're gonna have co-op in the way that like you're both
Yes.
in the world together.
Yes.
And there was a million questions that
Yes.
had, how is that gonna work?
So here's how it works. You
Yeah.
do go to one of those Pokemon little stations,
Yeah, little
and then
gas
you open
station.
up a lobby, and
Okay.
then your friend will join your lobby, and then you'll enter a game together.
So whose game is it?
We didn't really ever figure that out.
That's what at the time was that the game was just both of your games.
It is.
But then I saw like Philly Beats You was saying that you can join somebody's Scarlet game if you have Violet. So that doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah, that was, and we didn't know, because we don't know all the regional Pokemon, so I don't think we noticed if we came across any Pokemon that was like specific to a certain game.
Yet.
I did catch the Mega Man.
What do you have? Scarlet, and you have what?
Yeah.
I have Violet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I catch the Mega Man Pokemon when I joined his game.
I'm gonna need that.
So
wait, which one did you get then?
Well, that's the thing. The starter is normal, and then it evolves 2 different ways.
Oh,
so
that's annoying.
So when it evolves, I'm gonna know if I have the Violet version or the Scarlet version.
Okay, and who hosted it?
I did.
He was hosting that one.
Okay.
The thing I find interesting about it and what I really do love about it is you enter the game and then it's just you're in the game.
Yeah.
I can go and do all my story stuff.
That's what I was
while
gonna ask.
he's on the other side of the world doing completely different story stuff for him.
So you progress
He retains
still.
his progress. I retain my progress.
That's
I
great.
love that.
That's neat.
Also,
Yeah,
just the
I
fact
like
that
that.
we can literally leave each other. So
This was very hard to describe.
Yes.
When we were leading up to it, we
Yeah.
got into a lot of different arguments where we were
Yeah.
all explaining the same thing, but it
Yes.
sounded like we were explaining different things.
I'm not sure exactly what like instance we're in, if we're in Scoot's like Violet game, but my
But your
Switch,
progression is going.
But I have my progression,
Yeah.
and my Switch is very clearly rendering in and processing the game because I'm able to leave him, and there is no way in hell his game is rendering in what I'm seeing
Yeah.
from the other side of the world.
So were you able to see the same Pokemon in
Yes,
the world?
yes.
Yeah.
We can even apparently still shiny. So if we see a shiny, we both see
That's
it,
bizarre.
and only one of us can get it.
That's bizarre that happens, and also when you leave each other, you're still in the same situation.
It's really cool.
That's cool. And how is this game so technically broken, but they got that right?
I don't know. The thing that I really do love about it is I did not think it was going to be this way purely because a lot of co-op games I've played have rubber banding. Like even the Far Cry games still to this day, you'll join someone's client and then you're in their game. You can't go very far away from them. You can only go as far as their game is willing to render. So it will literally like give you that big warning on screen. You are leaving the area. Quickly go back to your friend or we will put you back there.
Yeah.
But this game has managed to, in a really cool way, figure it out where, yeah, you're just in the game. And honestly, there are times I forgot we were even playing together.
Yeah.
And then randomly we would just cross paths and we were like, oh, sick.
That's why I was comparing it to, or at least my idea of the game, I was comparing it to Destiny because it's the
That
only
would be
game
really
I know
cool.
where you can join up with other people and then just leave them and still
Yeah.
continue your little journey.
Yeah, it's really cool. Now,
Yeah.
did you have something to add?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think the co-op is nothing to me. Like,
Oh, really?
Well,
There's
yeah.
just nothing to it other than that you're both in the same
I
world.
can see wood.
Yeah.
Like that's
But
what.
that was
Well-
the theory that we explained, that I was explaining to you. That's exactly
Yeah, and
what
I
it
always
was.
agreed with you.
Well,
Yeah.
I do. It is nothing in a way, but I do like that we see the same Pokemon.
It is kind of cool to just be around.
Yeah,
your
it's
friend.
cool to be around. It's cool to see the same Pokemon.
We have a whole
chance to
Minecraft
catch the
server
same-
where we just stood around
I
and
know.
just talked to each other.
But
That's fucking cool.
Here's the other thing. Here's the other thing, Scoot. We played Temtem co-op.
Yes.
Now that was hardcore sharing progression. You are together to the point where it did get annoying. Because like if
Really?
you, well, I found it a little annoying that if I was like in a town and you decided to head out and you hit the grass and hit a Pokemon battle, I instantly get zipped to you and we're in a double battle. And then when it ends, I'm just with you. And it's
Yeah.
the same if I go anywhere or you go anywhere. Every time you start dialogue with a character, anytime you get into a battle or a wild
Yes.
battle,
Okay.
we're just zipped together. And now we're like here. I do like the freedom of being able to like, okay, bye. I'm gonna do this. You do that.
I like the freedom.
But then why play co-op?
We're not doing anything together. Like,
I know. There would be it'd be nice to have an option where if you got into a battle, I had a little pop-up on my screen that's like, hey, do you want to join his battle?
Yeah.
And I can say yes or no.
there's no reason that the gym leaders can't be faced together. There's no
that
reason
sucked.
we
We couldn't even see each other in the gym.
Yeah, there's no
That's
reason we
weird.
can't like interact with each other in that way.
Yeah, we had
And
to. We were like
that's-
outside, and we could see each other. Then if we both went in, it was just our own.
That's
instance.
silly to me.
That is
like,
silly.
There's a lot of weird inside things.
Yeah.
Like inside places is
Yeah.
broken.
Wild Pokemon, I think you're right. I think that makes more sense for Pokemon to do just one-on-one.
Yeah.
But if we're doing a trainer battle, why am I not
Yeah.
with my co-op buddy?
That would be nice to have an option for a lot of dual team battles where there's
Yeah.
like two Pokemon either side. Especially like, 'cause, you used to have like I haven't seen one in this game, but you'd have like the twins or the surfer guy and girl that would like walk up to you together and then you do a double battle.
Yeah.
You can have those.
Yeah, there should be a
And-
couple of those. True.
Yeah.
Also,
That'd be cool.
2v2, I'm pretty sure is like the Pokemon competitive scene standard.
People
mode
love
of playing.
2v2s now because they're way more competitive.
It sounds like it would break the game.
yeah. No, yeah.
This game can't handle that. for some
I think
reason.
this is
It would-
definitely something they
yes.
considered and were like,
I think they considered a lot of things and just ran out of time.
yeah.
They had
You
like
know
a
what?
year to make this.
I have
stupid
theories
game.
about that too. Like when you go to fly somewhere on the map, it'll say, do you want to fly here? That could just be a leftover remnant of Pokemon games, but it fades to black and then you're there. In like a little corner of the screen, there's a picture of the new, like the Elvis bird. There's like 4 of them carrying a carriage. And it's just a little animated picture that's like, and then I wonder like, do
They
they
did
ever
that in
think to
Sword and Shield,
themselves,
too.
what if we have that and it actually takes you
Well,
and
in
it's like a
Sword and
nice
Shield, the whole thing
animated.
with that with the bird.
It was just
It was like a whole story beat though.
yeah, it's the same story beat though. Like they
But you
explain-
see the bird.
Yeah, we see the bird too.
That's what I
It's
want
shown
though.
in a
That's what I
cutscene.
like though. I like the
But you're saying you
cutscene.
don't see the bird.
I see a little.
No.
A little
So sorry, we're getting
You
misconstrued.
see Corviknight.
We
That's
see
his name, I think.
in Sword and Shield, we see Corviknight to explain the Corviknight taxi.
Yeah.
I think maybe once or twice.
But doesn't he leave when
No.
you land? Doesn't he
No,
go
it's
away?
it's just a fade to black
I
in
hate
Sword and
that.
Shield.
I don't know why I hate that. I know it's quicker. I just hate that.
I know why you hate it because it makes it less
'Cause it's-
immersive. There's-
Yeah.
I kind of want to see
Games
a little,
have
It broke your
progressed
immersion
since
in
back
Pokemon.
then.
I don't wanna
skip
see
it
a
if I
black
want,
screen
But I
while I'm
would like
playing
the
a
birds to
game.
come down and then you like get in and then you can fly to an area.
It adds character.
It adds,
There's no character.
world building.
Yeah. Right now, there's like there's nothing in the world. The world is very bland.
I know
and empty.
it's super bland.
Yeah.
Um,
What are you
that's the-
whispering over there? You're mic'd up.
You do have to stop whispering, or else we're gonna turn the mic off.
That was the joke.
You were just going. I'm whispering right
The
now.
joke is we're gonna ruin the podcast.
I'll get so much hate again.
And don't ruin the podcast.
I'm not ruining it.
That was the joke you just said you were doing.
He said.
Hey,
That is fair.
now that we've interrupted the podcast, we have to do a sponsor.
Have you ever wanted a grip that satisfies?
Let's see. Can the analytics show me where it? Yep, right there. Haha.
That's kind of sick.
And we are also launching the hoodies.
Yes, the hoodies are launching. This is
60
something that
bucks.
I don't want to say I was pushing for because I literally brought it up to you and you were like, yes, and we did it immediately. But yeah, I wanted them. I was like, we got to do a hoodie for winter. And Bob has gone away and designed a really cool hoodie. It's going to be really quality. If you've got the shirts before, you'll know that the fabric and everything is really high
We
quality.
spent a lot of time making sure that it's going to be
Yeah,
really
we
good.
spent a lot of money on getting them made too. So we would really appreciate the support if you want to rock it this winter. Get a hoodie. I'm excited to get mine. And right now it's for pre-order because they're so good quality. They
Took
weren't-
a while.
They weren't made in
Took a
time.
second.
So we're taking some pre-orders during this season, and then when are they going to be ready?
Hopefully very soon. They might even be ready. We're just saying pre-sale
To be sure.
just to be 100%.
Okay. They're hopefully going to be ready very soon. So they might even be ready right now.
Yeah.
But if it says pre-sale, very soon.
They went into production over a month ago, so we're.
So grab a sweater,
Yeah.
and then while you're there, grab a couple t-shirts, 20% off.
Yeah.
The
Hey, you know what?
non-tender
Also, wolfdenapparel.com is also on sale.
Yeah, it
it's
is.
the same website, 20% off, same website. You
Oh,
can buy it,
wow.
baby.
Nice.
I don't make nothing from those.
Give me money.
Link down below.
Okay,
You wanna see
my
my, you
noise
wanna
gate
read
is
my
fucked
list?
up again.
Yeah, I'd love
Shit.
I also I want to talk about the format of the open world at some point.
Okay. Cons. Some buttons just seem like visual glitches at the beginning. There's some buttons, I think it's Y, where it does nothing at the beginning, but it makes the character go like this. It's
You know what
literally
button is
it.
weird? The left trigger. I
Yes.
said this to Scoot today.
Yes.
All it does is shift the camera to the left.
Yes.
Why?
My chat told me that was to aim the ball, but that doesn't make any sense when you're just throwing it.
But I'm not aiming it
I
at the
know.
time. It's just like I'm running and then I can hold ZL and it
Well, it's like when
shifts.
you're playing a first-person shooter, you hold ZL to aim.
Oh.
It's
But
very
it's not
stupid.
I guess it's weird because it's not bringing up a crosshair.
That, and also it doesn't feel like it's aiming. It just
No, it just
moves
feels
the
like the
camera a
camera
little bit, and it's
shifting.
also like not a first-person shooter. It makes sense to like cock the arm to
Yeah.
shoot something,
Yeah.
but it doesn't explain it, and it doesn't. He should go. The character should go like this.
He doesn't
then,
do that unless
know?
you hit
Yeah.
the trigger. The
It
other.
doesn't make. It's very stupid.
It's very weird.
Also, I think one of the buttons is for. Oh, the start button is for the ride Pokemon. It just does nothing. Also, why is it the start button? It's been like that forever,
Yeah, I
but
was gonna
it's
say,
so stupid.
I think bike was always like select in the old games.
Why?
And, well, it's because X.
Well, back
X
then
has
you had
always,
no buttons. You ran out of buttons on the Game Boy.
Well, X has always been menu. So now you just have a start
That's
button that
so-
does nothing.
This is one I'm gonna get there eventually, but X makes sense to bring up your Pokemon.
Yeah.
Here's my Pokemon. It's a mechanic in the game. Why is options also in X?
I will have to.
It should be
I will have
start.
to defend this a little bit. A lot of JRPGs have the settings and the options tied to like a letter, like X. Mostly
That is
X.
dumb as hell.
I know, but it's pretty common. It's a pretty common
And start
practice.
being a mechanic,
Yes,
like a thing you use in the game.
but it is a throwback.
I want to pause the game.
And
You
it's
know
a
how I do it?
throwback
Hit select.
to the bicycle being like the.
Okay,
ones-
while I
getting
agree
the
it is
Xbox
confusing, I totally see where Wolf's coming from.
Anyway,
It,
that
it
was only
just
my first
is
grievance, but
an,
go on.
an, R- an
Cannot
RPG
skip dialogue
standard.
at all. There is fast text, and turbo helps. But again, I wish that was part of the
I
game.
need to get a
is
turbo controller.
You have, I'm sure.
Just out of curiosity, Bob,
Mhm.
in Persona 5, there's a button you can hit where you fast forward all the dialogue
Oh hell yeah!
right up to like a choice you have to make.
Yes, that's
Is that
exactly what I
you
want.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I want.
Okay.
That would be really
I-
cool.
I do like seeing a little bit what's happening, but even if it's super fast,
Yeah.
that's fine too.
You know what can make that better though? All those problems will be fixed. Voice acting.
That's
Yes.
true too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me, if you want me to listen or pay attention, give me voice acting.
But
I
it's
don't
got,
read-
it's still got to be a good story.
yeah, it would
Yeah,
definitely
'cause
help,
then
but
you
it's
just end up
2022, we
skipping
don't
through the
read
voice
anymore.
acting.
Books are dead. Books are a dead media.
Plus, if this is a
Get
game
owned,
truly for
plus
kids,
plus your
I
bowl,
don't
plus your
think
everything.
that's true.
if this is a game truly for kids and they want more kids to play it, voice acting will make it so they don't have to read and younger kids
Yes,
can
it
play
needs
Okay,
voice acting.
is that what we
bad,
need? Is
especially
less-
for, like,
30-year-olds.
the
Is
big-
less people
complaining
reading? Is that what we need? Wow, that's dumb.
The big cutscenes, especially more than anything, the opening cutscenes in these games need voice
Yeah.
acting at least for that.
Turbo should be standard for menus. Should stop at a dialogue choice, just like you said. Persona.
Which,
works.
by the way, honestly, in Pokemon, you can breeze right on past that dialogue choice because
it's like yes or yes.
Nothing. It's literally yes or yes.
Yeah.
Even when the option is like, you know, do you want to join our evil gang? And you can say yes or no. You'll hit like yes, and they'll be like, well, we don't want you anyway.
Yeah, you're ugly. So I also have the frames because the frame rate's just very bad. Ugly ass grass and jagged shadows.
Can I say about the frames too? This isn't like you know, sometimes a game comes out and the frames get choppy in places and some people are like, that's fine, I don't notice it. This is undeniable. I had frames dip so low today while I was playing that I was actually worried my game was going to crash. And Scoot, what happened?
It crashed.
My game crashed. Like, and that was 2 or 3 minutes leading up to the crash.
Nintendo games, Nintendo first party games should not crash.
No.
No, God, no.
My tweet I put out today
That just sounds ridiculous.
This is the ugliest, worst performing first party Nintendo Switch game so far. And we're like 6 years into this thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. And I honestly implore anyone to find something worse.
Yeah.
A few people have tried to say, I guess he didn't play Fire Emblem Three Houses. I don't know, man. I thought that game looked fine.
Yeah.
Not pretty, not great, not like this.
I pulled up Ni no Kuni for the PlayStation 3. That game still looks really good.
Yeah, I know it does.
Compared to this, it's
there
like
are
really
a lot of
sad
PlayStation 3 games that look really good.
Like, and this is not even kidding, a Wii game, and there are certain parts that look like an N64. Like, not an N64 game, but N64 like textures.
Yeah. So I was considering like what could have gone wrong here. Like does the game look so bad because it's a technical issue? Does it need to be stylized better, or both? And I think it's a little bit of both. And Liam, Curse to Golf Liam, was in my chat, and he said, I think this game, there's such a quick turnaround. They make them every year, and they probably are still working on.
And they probably
the same
shouldn't.
engine for Pokemon DX.
Wow.
So and they just shoehorned it into being open world.
DX or XD?
XD probably. I don't know Pokemon. I don't
XD
know
to you.
Get
it?
Yeah, laughing.
Like laughing face.
We have ugly ass grass and jagged shadows, which are really. I mean, look. I remember when Pokemon. Remember when Sword and Shield came out? Everyone was complaining about the trees. I was like, who cares? Pokemon is gonna be fun anyway. And then I played it, and I got to the end of it, at the end of the DLC, and I was like, was that fun? I don't know if I
was that fun?
Which one?
Pokemon Sword and Shield.
I gotta think about it now.
Until after the DLC, I was like, did I like that? I rethought the whole game, and I was like, I don't know if I did.
The most fun I've had in both Sword and Shield and Arceus was once the story finally ended, and I got to just explore and try and catch the rest of the Pokemon and look for shinies.
I don't know. I'd like to just plow through the story, and for some reason, I'm cool with that. But Sword and Shield, I did, and then at the end, I was like, I don't know. I think the DLC was just very bad.
The DLC was
a lot of people love the
like
DLC. I didn't play the DLC for Sword and Shield either.
And the stories were terrible.
But yeah, I don't think the visual issues stop at grass and shadows. Did you have?
Oh
anything
no,
else
that's
on
just
there?
that.
It's like there's tons of.
Every single cutscene ends with a pop in. Awkward music and sound effects.
Before you get to music, let's talk about pop in.
We did already. That's why I skipped over it.
Well, okay. Well, there were some other pop in instances that I had, like with people specifically.
Oh yeah.
So pop in, and I'm not a game dev, but pop in is something that occurs because again, the game is trying its best to take out as many assets as possible when they're not needed to free up the hardware so it runs a little better.
Yeah, or load them in.
But what happens usually with that is when
they
you
set
walk
the
close
draw
to something,
distance too low,
and when you walk further away, it pops out. But if you go into like the city town, there are so many areas where you can walk towards and back something, and it'll pop in like 17 times on the way to and the way back. It doesn't make any sense.
There's barely anything in these towns, and it runs really bad, and the Switch is working really hard.
There is barely anything in the town that they haven't given the pop-in treatment to. Like, a lot of times towns are filled with a lot of things, and when you walk through it, like, it'll pop out, like, handbags and, like, random trash on the ground. Like, it'll pop out any texture or asset that it can. There is nothing that stays.
It's really... it's
I don't know if you noticed this as well. This is kind of pop-in, not really, but when you go into the stores in the town...
You can't, though.
You can't.
That's one of my grievances, is that you can't go into the stores.
There are so many things about this game that are so clunky and so amateur. But when you go into these stores, you load into just a flat JPEG of what you want to buy. That in itself
It's a menu. The stores are a menu.
Yeah, it's a menu. That in itself is offensive to me, and I hate it. And in 2022, just build a store. But
build
a store.
Build a store. When you come out is where this pop-in thing happens, where it's like a 1 second thing. It's long enough for you to notice it every single time. You can see your character like standing glitched inside the nothing store, and then it quickly cuts to black, and then it cuts back out to the store. And it happens every single time where you can see the game like struggling to load you back out.
They must have wanted to have a store and they just ran out of time, or it was too broken when they tried
maybe
to
that, or maybe it's just one of them things where your character model walks into a void, and for some reason when you leave the void, it just shows you when it shouldn't.
Yeah,
it's just so stupid.
This used to, when the first Mario plus Rabbids came out, every single cutscene had all of the characters pop in for 1 frame, and I was like, how come nobody's talking about this?
I didn't notice.
It's so obvious. Nobody noticed, but it was so obvious to me. I was like, this is fucked up, and characters are T-posing and shit. Everybody loved that game.
Sorry.
Definitely seems like
bringing
that
up
happens
the
because
press
different
trauma.
people
Okay, awkward
have
music
different
and sound
rates
effects. Did
of
you notice that?
Yeah,
I had times where two songs were playing at
like
once.
quick
Oh, I
visual
had that. That
images.
sounds like a fun glitch.
And there's times when there's just no music, and you're like, where? Why is it so quiet?
The music is off. The sound effects for me is the main thing. They sound really cheap and tinny.
Or there's just none during.
Or there's
cutscenes.
none.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sound effects definitely sound like they've been. What it almost sounds like to me is they've had the same sound effects for the last 5 years, and every time they make a new game, they delete their files, and then like, oh crap,
Yeah.
and they have to re-download them from like the game or like download a gameplay of it from YouTube and rip their sound files back. And they've done it so many times that now it sounds like it's from LimeWire. I don't know why they sound so bad.
I also have it takes too long for the game to open up, which is interesting.
It
'cause I
takes
have
too long
something
for the
in
game to
pros
do
for that.
everything. Have you noticed?
I think it's quicker for the game for me to feel like I have control. It was quicker in this than it was in Arceus.
Have you noticed that? I agree. Have you noticed that there's a pause between like everything that happens? Like when you catch a Pokemon, the pause between waiting for it to register that you've caught a new Pokemon, it's just like you're looking at the grass for like 2-3 seconds.
I haven't noticed that
before
honestly.
it finally says like you caught this Pokemon.
I haven't noticed that, and I was too focused on the fact that it feels a lot quicker when you do capture a Pokemon because they got rid of a lot of the bullshit menu stuff.
Yeah, that'll stuff. It's a
Yeah,
lot
so
quicker,
all
yeah.
that stuff made me feel like it's faster, but I
Yeah.
haven't noticed that there's like a weird like.
How do you feel
pause.
about the little book animation where it slots?
I
the
like
book?
it. I kind of wish you could skip it, but
I like it, but it looks really cheap.
a little.
Yeah, I like it,
looks
but I
less
wish it
cheap
looked
than
better.
A lot of other stuff in the game.
Yeah.
So like that's the one little fun.
It looks
thing.
like they tried something.
I do like to know when it's a Pokemon I haven't.
They
seen
tried to
before.
animate that a little bit more than they tried to animate eating anything in the game. Have you tried that yet?
No, I fed the sandwich to the Malagnados.
Bob?
What?
You need to see it. It's so good.
I saw a trailer of like the big little kawaii thing.
Okay, wait. If we need to see it, if Wood is that set on it, we need to see it. Oh shit, I didn't mean to pin. Whoops. Unpin. Duplicate. No hush.
Film degree.
Ow! Oh, right. I'm surprised I'm still watching that. Okay, hold on. Alright, eating in Pokemon. No, not eating meat in Pokemon. Eating in Pokemon Scarlet. All trainer food reactions. Is this what eating is? Why are they all bad reactions? Oh, okay. We finally got positive. Okay, I'm done. That is ridiculous.
So when you eat anything in the game, like Scoots did it and started laughing and told me to do it. So I bought an ice cream, right?
Okay.
I brought a JPEG of an ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
It loads the JPEG on the whole screen. So the whole screen is like an orange background and the JPEG of the ice cream that you bought, the little 2D cartoon, and your character comes in and goes.
Oh,
That's
no.
the eating animation.
Oh no!
It's so good.
One part of one of the trailers was just a sandwich that was sitting there, and it was just a shot of the sandwich. I was like, "What the hell is this?" And it's in the beginning of the game. You get the sandwich, like your mom makes your sandwich, and it looks like absolute garbage.
Yeah.
And I went to the Unity asset store and found just a million sandwiches.
Oh
I was
my
like, "Here
God.
they are. Just
Better.
buy one of
And
these."
it's a
What-
major
Just buy one of these sandwiches.
sandwiches. Yeah.
There's 4 main quests in the game that as soon as you after the academy, everyone bombards you with 4 different things happen. It's like you can go there, you can go there, you can go there, or you can do this. And one of them is just about recipes for the sandwich and finding the
The
best
sandwich does
recipes.
Maybe
seem
that's
like,
what I'm gonna go
You know
for.
how I know sandwiches are important in this game?
Why?
The only store that isn't a menu like a
That you can actually go
you can
into.
actually go into a sandwich store.
Oh,
Looks like a Subway.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like a
It's
Subway.
a
Eat fresh.
Blimpies. It's a
Eat fresh.
Blimpies.
Jersey Mike? What do we got?
Then I have why does X still open up the menu? I have select is pause. Start does nothing until the ride
I
mechanic.
feel like a lot of button issues that you have. Here.
It's a
you
lot
got
of
any UI
user
issues on
experience.
there?
That counts as
Because you know how you said that you loaded up Unity assets. I had Scoot time me last night when I was playing the game because I started to complain about how cheap the UI looks in this game, and I was battling that giant crab, and it had the health bar at the top, and it's literally just a rectangle bar of green. that is it. So I had Scoot time me with how quick I could make an identical version of that bar. 17 seconds.
New world record, new WR.
Dude, it's literally just drag a rectangle, fill green, and then it's that.
It's minimalism. It's new age minimalism.
It looks so cheap and bad. I
don't have any visual problems with the menu.
It can be the thing that I think here is minimal is fine, but don't make it stale like that. At least like fill the green with like an animated like fluid motion or something. And then when you like do damage, it just like it shoots down and it makes the remainder red, and the red just kind of like shrinks. That's fine, but again, I could animate that in 10 minutes tops.
Nintendo is usually really, really good at making really pretty UIs that are really bad functionally. Like they're hard to get through. And
These
stuff.
definitely function.
Yeah, they
These
function,
definitely
but they are ugly.
across.
So it's like the opposite of what Nintendo's usually doing. Like Smash Brothers UI, it's nice looking, but it's impossible to get anywhere. How do you get to the training mode?
I know. There's a whole Sakurai video about that.
What?
I want to see that. That's interesting.
He made a video about his own UI and why it and
why it sucks. Why it's terrible.
Style over function is what he said, and I think he said he said
never be the case.
He said no. It was an argument of style over function, and it's not that is the way to do it.
That's the way he did it.
Yeah, he said he took inspiration from Persona. He really likes the way Personas looked, and he wanted to.
Also, Bob, are you kidding me? You can't get to training in Smash? Is your brain broken? Are you okay, bro? What?
Kind of do it.
Like, I'm sorry, it's just not just a bar that says training on it. That's ridiculous. It's in the single player options.
I've never played Persona. Does Personas work?
Yeah, it's really good.
You haven't played Persona? What? Ah!
It's like it's a perfect mix of style and function.
There you go. I have camera doesn't auto censor when the battle starts. Hills break things. That's what we talked about.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Get more drink. Fuck your BR. I'll be right back. Okay, dokie.
Last used move should be highlighted at the start of the battle, and it highlights the last used move in the middle of the battle, so that you can easily turbo if you want to spam the same move over and over again. But if I'm starting a new battle and I have a Pokemon and I usually just use one of the moves, that move should be highlighted already. There's a way to move moves to like the top, but you know I'm gonna get new moves all the time, and sometimes I'll be in an area where I'm gonna use more moves. Than
Okay, wait, what are they talking about?
The last used move
of style over function. There's not that is the way to do it.
That's the way he did it, but you know I'm gonna get new moves all the time, and sometimes
and people love it. Okay, that's the last thing I have to say.
I'll be in an area where I'm gonna use more moves than I would be somewhere else. So it'd be nice if the last used move that you did is already have a Pokemon, and I usually just use one of the moves. That move should be highlighted already. There's a way to move moves to persona. Does personas work?
Yeah, it's really good. It's like it's a perfect mix of style and function.
There you go. I have camera doesn't auto when the battle starts. Hills break things. That's what we talked about.
Yeah.
I have last used move should be highlighted at the start of the battle, and it highlights the last used move in the middle of a battle, so that you can easily turbo if you want to spam the same move over and over again. But if I'm starting a new battle, Pokemon, and
that feels like a nitpicky complaint.
That move should be highlighted already. There's a way to move moves to like the top, but you know I'm gonna get new moves all the time, and sometimes I'll be in an area where I'm gonna use more moves than I would be somewhere else. So it'd be nice if the last used move that you did is already highlighted at the start of the next battle, so I can just hold down that turbo button. A little user experience issue that I have. The last con that I have is you can't actually go into the stores.
So you want designers to make it to where you can zoom through their combat? Just do what Persona did and just put a turbo button on it where they do basic attacks the whole time. Oh wait, Pokemon don't have basic attacks, so you still have to select a move. You would still have to select a move.
Yeah, well, sorry, I cut you off on that.
I think that's kind of a nitpicking complaint. I don't know where that one's coming from.
Are you ready for the pros?
I'm very excited for the pros because it's a pretty long list of pros.
Quick access to Pokeballs in the battle. That's pretty nice.
Okay.
You just press X and you just have Pokeballs.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That is awesome.
But like, I didn't play the original Diamond, but it's like that in the Diamond remake. I assume it's like that in I can't remember if it's like that in Sword and Shield, but I assume it's like that in Arceus too. Oh no, wait, Arceus is like the let's go throwing mechanic. I don't know. That's
Instead of going through like 4 menu options, they're just right there. You go, boom, done.
Wasn't that in Sword and Shield as well?
That's been in since X and Y, I think.
I'm so
thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Access to it.
It's right. It's literally in the middle of the screen.
It is
This
very
is the
quick.
quickest access.
Yeah.
It is very quick, and then you can
I think even in Arceus, it's 2 buttons.
Brilliant Diamond, press X. It's there.
And in this, it's right, literally.
It's right there, and you can also scroll through all the balls really quickly, and there's pictures of them. I think that's actually easier than what they had in Sword and Shield. Right?
And descriptions of them. So you're like, oh, what does this ball do?
Oh
again?
yeah.
Like, oh, it helps with the water Pokemon. Perfect. I have a water Pokemon.
Yeah,
that's sick.
I like it a lot more. Party leveling up animation is streamlined, which we talked about during the trailers. Hair options.
Yes.
A lot of good hair options.
Yes, and actually,
the one that I picked is called the long bob.
Is it really?
Yes.
I don't know. I thought the hair options were kind of limited, but okay.
I love that. The hair actually looks like strands. It's actually, this is a pro you might have had. We might be skipping ahead, but the one thing that does look very nice in this game are the character models. Yeah, the character models have had a lot of work put into them. They look very like Pixar-y.
I would agree
I like
there.
them a lot, and yeah, they're so detailed that you can actually see like strands of cartoony versions of like strands of hair, but I don't know, it's a lot of nice detail. They don't look like they fit with the rest of the game.
It's really sad that like backgrounds are so ugly, but the characters are really nice, and the textures on the clothes are really nice.
Yeah, it's nice. And I also think there is a hairdresser in the game. You can get more hairstyles.
I think so, yeah, but it's another menu.
Yeah, I know.
He's like, I don't. It is what it is at this point, buddy.
And then I crossed it out because I realized I wasn't done with it.
You wrote that right away.
Yep.
And then
I wrote that because it let me go, and I could like do some stuff, and then it threw me into the academy, and I was like, get out of here.
To be fair, the academy, if you spam the A button a lot, you can get through it in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think I got to the
end. Then you're in the game, so.
Get right into a random encounter battle, no animation or transition.
Yeah. You
literally just walk up to a Pokemon, you run into him, and then you're just there.
You can also throw your Pokeball at it.
Yeah. Well, somebody told me that, but I couldn't figure out how to do that.
So right trigger will throw the Pokeball at the Pokemon to trigger a regular battle.
Yeah, that's what happens, yeah.
And then R, you can throw the Pokemon out, and it'll run around and just do auto battles.
Oh, yeah. But you can't just throw it and catch it like you can in Arceus.
No.
That's what I assumed.
You can't do that.
So why is there an aiming animation?
Because it's dumb and I don't really use it that much, but sometimes like Pokemon fly or like they're like in the trees and you can just aim the Pokeball and throw it and then trigger a battle.
That's
or startle them.
That's useful.
Them, yeah. You can sneak up behind Pokemon or hit them in the back and it startles them. There are some Pokemon like Dunsparce I tried to catch today, but I like ran at it and it disappeared. So you have stealth and you can like sneak up and you can
throw
they
it.
took
a little bit from Arceus.
Yeah, there is definitely a little bit from Arceus there.
I like that.
Which I think you have to do because it's part of the open world vibe.
Right.
You need to implement some of those things into it.
I have able to mash through battle moves options quicker than other Pokemon games.
Yes.
Like I said before, it feels like there's less of a lag between menu options and dialogue. So it just flies through stuff. And that's great because the rest of the game is slow as hell.
Yes. Yep.
The last thing I have is no random
balancing act.
Yeah, I think There were no random encounters in Sword and Shield, were there? Well, there were in the wild area.
There was.
No, there was period.
There was period.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, there's literally 0 in this game.
There was
and
like,
it's kind of awesome to just see everything out there.
Sword and Shield was like a weird half and half of like
okay.
Pokemon.
No random battles I can definitely get behind, but no mandatory trainer battles, which was what I was hearing and seeing. I don't like that. I like having some trainers that I have to either figure out how to get around or fight.
Pokemon Let's Go, having Pokemon in the overworld, there are no random battles.
Yes.
And then having also random battles to appease like the long-standing fans of like Gen 7.
I don't like that.
It was.
This is just pure.
I like that
what
a
you
lot.
see is what you
I
get.
mean, I only got to go from one area to another, so I only got one little road. But
Sword and Shield was nice because a lot of the Pokemon were in the open world. I think there were some that you did have to do the wild encounters for if you wanted to find specifically.
There's a good amount.
I think that sometimes you have to go through the grass.
Yeah, and there were sometimes you had to go through the grass, but for the most part you could avoid it. Where it really sucked was the parts where you had to swim. You had to like go on water because you would get caught up in random water battles all the time. But yeah, this one there are no random encounters at all. Thank God.
Yeah, I think.
Although I haven't been on water yet.
People just like the nostalgia of like how things are.
Okay.
People don't like change.
Are there random battles?
No.
Okay, you look sad. I was like, you gonna tell me something?
I was trying to get one basket and a whole horde of baskets.
That's kind of a cop-out statement. People don't mind change if it's done appropriately, but if they don't see a reason for it to change, then they're not going to agree with the change.
Also, I haven't found it yet, but like sometimes when you load into the game, it'll say like mass spawning in your area. We haven't found any mass spawns yet, but they kept that obviously from Arceus. So it's interesting how many different things they've kind of taken and tried to implement differently.
Yeah. That's my whole pros and cons list.
Okay.
I think the biggest issue is that the
I
game
love that you
doesn't run
have
good.
pros.
I was very shocked. I thought I didn't even have that on the list.
If the
So I
game
played it a
looked
little bit.
nice and played well, it would easily be up there with the Arceus score of like 80, 82, I think is what it got. It sat at like, is it still 78 on Metacritic right now, roughly?
70s,
Which I think is fair considering that the state that it's in. I do like it. I liked Arceus more.
I like it and I want to play more of it.
That's
Arceus,
so
I kind of like. I was like, I don't want to play more of this.
I liked Arceus more purely for the way that you interact with the world and the Pokemon and the catching. If that was the way in this game, I think it would be over the top for me. But something I do like about the open world in this game more than Arceus is it does feel a bit more intentional. Like Arceus's open world was very flat and roamy, and like you'd have like a tree area or like maybe a hill, but like there wasn't really any like depth to it. Whereas this game has a lot of like nooks and crannies and like ladders to get down into crevices and caves around that you can like go in and pop out the other side. And yeah, I mean, I haven't explored it too much, but it always feels like there's another path or like how did I get here or how do I get up there, which I never really had in Arceus.
Why is Arceus like polished and why is this game so broken?
Polished as in not glitchy?
Yeah.
I don't know, because you would think that this would be the one that wouldn't be as glitchy.
They were both Game Freak, right?
Yeah, it's both Game Freak, and this one really, I mean, is what Sword and Shield was if all the wild areas were just the entire game.
Well, just take a look at the open world between both games. In Arceus, you have sections where it's open world. So you have this large open area.
Like a Monster Hunter
just
thing.
This section.
Yeah.
This game, the whole game is open world. There is no, okay, I have to go back and not go to this area and that's open world. The whole game lets you roam, and I think that's the main problem why it runs so bad. It's trying to put everything all at once, and Arceus worked because they were able to do that on such a small scale compared to the size of this world. Because you look at it like, oh, there's just these areas, but if you're traversing through it, it is pretty large. It's a lot of open space,
and it is
a lot of
true
Pokemon on the screen at one time.
But there's ways to do open world and like kind of smoke and mirrors it, where it's like loads things in behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think that's why they have the castle in the middle of the game, and then you have to like leave the castle either from the front, left, or right to enter the separate areas. I think it's a way of separating the world and make it a little easier to load patches of the world, but it's still very clearly struggling with that. And a lot of the tricks for that are things like pop in and a lot of those to take things away and stuff like that. But this game Game Freak just doesn't know how to design 3D HD
I feel
games.
really bad because I feel like they probably just didn't have a lot of time, but like should have given them more time.
Well,
Arceus should have been this year's Pokemon game.
I've said this. I think I said this literally yesterday with you when we did the last episode. But Game Freak are at the point now where they obviously know how they want to make these games. They obviously want to be in creative control, and they have the money to pay another team to make it for them and just be in complete creative control and tell them what to do. And I don't see why they're not doing that. And then the other reason with why they're so like stressed for time, and I tweeted about this today, and a lot of people are like, that's no excuse though. It's not, and I'm not giving them this as an excuse. I'm just saying this is why they don't delay games and why they follow their strict schedule so much. It's because the entire franchise of Pokemon that is so successful is based off the games. When a new game comes out, that's when they can start moving on the trading cards, and they can move on the anime, and they can move on all the merch, and everything else that spawns from the Pokemon universe come from the new game release. So if they delay the game, they delay the trading cards, they delay the anime, they delay everything. All these different companies and entities and voice actors and production and everything, they literally can delay it.
But you have a company like Activision that makes Call of Duty. Call of Duty makes a game every single year. They have 3 different teams.
Yes, I know. Well, that goes back to paying people to develop your game.
Yeah.
Because if you think of a good-looking Pokemon game, Pokemon Snap, Pokemon
just literally any
Coliseum,
other one. Just any other one.
Pokemon Eevee, Pikachu, Let's Go, whatever. Every good-looking Pokemon game, you know who designed it?
A different company.
A team that Game Freak paid to make.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that they want to have full control and they want to make their own games. I admire that, you know? It's like a kid that wants to come home with his finger painting for daddy and not some other kid's finger painting for daddy.
Right.
But if the other kid in class is better at finger painting and has maybe all his fingers and you're missing a couple, maybe let the other kid
maybe
make
pay
turkey.
maybe pay that kid a couple $1 million to make your finger painting.
This went down a path I wasn't expecting.
That was a weird analogy, but
No, the thing is, I can't bring home a finger painting for daddy if I don't have a daddy. So you know,
it's also missing a couple fingers.
Yeah, I'm also missing a couple fingers. No, what I'm saying is, I think it's time for them to stop paying companies to make their games. Period.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean they can't
expand
make exactly the game they want to make. It's no different to when we hire an editor to make exactly the video I want to make. Sure, I could have sat there and made it, but maybe it wouldn't have been as good because I'm not as good of an editor, and it wouldn't have been like the goal or the dream or the thing that I had envisioned.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay. So last year there was just Arceus that got delayed, I guess, right?
No, it didn't have a delay.
Yeah, I don't think it did.
Well, then what was last year? There was nothing for them, right?
No, it was Diamond and Pearl.
Arceus was this year, by the way.
Diamond and Pearl was a different
company.
team.
A different team.
Yeah.
I will say that is the exception to the rule.
That wasn't that good.
For that one, they hired a team of people who had only ever made one mobile game before, and this was their first foray. And I've seen that a lot where companies that have only made like a mobile game or nothing before get their start by designing a reskin of a game, a remake or a remaster, or porting a game somewhere. That's kind of how they get into the business. I don't understand what business Game Freak has hiring like and no offense, but a team like that to, you know, you've never.
I don't know who's hiring them.
You have no work, no portfolio. You've made this mobile game. How would you like to redesign one of the most beloved Pokemon games
probably
of our generation?
Dirt cheap, and they probably made a vertical slice that would impress them in some way.
Cheap. Dude, this is the world's largest franchise.
But who is the one who says this company can remake Diamond and Pearl? Is it Game Freak? It sounds like it's the greater Pokemon company.
Mr. Pokemon.
And it sounds like they are probably like, we have like, I don't know, $500,000 allocated. Like, here, give them some chump change.
It's so wild because like with all of these games and even this new one with Pokemon, sure, people are going to buy it anyway. It doesn't matter. This is going to be one of the best selling Switch games and it is the worst performing and looking Switch game.
I see that a lot.
I have to imagine that if it looked incredible, if it was like, if they took the Pokemon franchise money they have and they made it look like the best Switch game we've ever seen, it would sell. I can't even.
Because then you keep people around. Like the way it is now, you're selling this to kids and that's it. But like they're gonna get older, they're gonna want to keep playing, and then they're gonna buy a game and go, "Oh, this sucks. I didn't realize this sucked."
Yes.
Yeah.
They do this on purpose because it gets some sort of boycott trending, which ends up selling even more copies because of the boycott.
Right.
And it works
that's why they didn't pay any of their voice actors.
Exactly. In fact, they just said, you know what, scrap it. We lost the voice flaps.
I see a lot of argument whenever you say that the game is bad or buggy or whatever, and like, why would they do this? People always come back with, well, it's going to sell a lot, and the game's for kids anyway, and they need they have a big franchise, and they got to make new Pokemon for the new franchise, so that's why. It's like, that's not really an excuse.
No, that's
that's just saying it's going to do good anyway, and like, what do I care if it does good? I just want a good game for me. I'm doing this purely for selfish reasons.
That is such an equivalent to like when a movie comes out and it's maybe like a Disney movie and it's like kind of bad, and people are like, well, it's for kids anyway. Doesn't mean it can't be good.
So it doesn't mean it can't be good anyway.
A good kids movie, like I can list 1,000, and you can have good kids games. And often a game like this, which is made for kids, that is made good, can be fun for all ages.
Right.
You know.
I just wish it was that way. We're so old playing a kids game.
We are old. I was really feeling my age this time around more than any other time, especially with that stupid sunflower pot.
I don't know why. It's just a standard gym puzzle.
There's plenty of kids games that are still fun for adults.
I'm just older, but like literally to fight this grown 40-year-old man in a gym battle where my Pokemon will faint and I will faint if I fail. To get to that point, I have to go around and collect some daisies.
I had to roll an olive.
Am I the only one that makes sense?
We rolled olives.
I rolled an olive.
Yeah.
You rolled an olive?
I rolled an
giant
olive.
We had to roll through a maze before we fought the gym leader.
For me, that's just Game Freak going, so we have an open world game now. So like what kind of challenges should they do? It's just, we don't want to like put them in a gym and do like one of them like zippy line puzzles in a gym. We want to use the open world.
We would like to, but we can't because the game will break.
But we can't. So we want to do it in a creative way and we want to use the world to do it. Well, we'll place some Pokemon around the world and they'll have to find them. Isn't that what we already do for the entire game? Like I don't need to find these ones that I can't keep for a minute.
It's called padding.
I know, it's padding. I know, but it just felt really childish. I don't know. When they were all running behind me, dancing and skipping, and I was like angrily looking for the next one. I felt 32 more than I ever have.
No, I understand that.
I have a lot more game to play. I barely played any of it, but I am excited to play more of it. I actually want to play more of it, which is more than I can say for a lot of other Pokemon games. Even Diamond and Pearl, I was dreading booting it back up. Yeah. And Arceus, I really didn't want to jump back into it.
I mean,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
You go, King.
No, please.
I'm just filling time at this point.
I was just gonna say I actually.
It's like the third time he said King.
They did last year where they did Diamond and Pearl and then Arceus was the worst for you because I think you were so burned out at Pokemon by the time Arceus came out, you didn't even want to give it the light of day.
I think also throw into that the DLC for Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
Because the DLC is when I really.
It is a lot. They are doing a lot of Pokemon.
Yeah, right stop. Now. Just start making good ones.
It's the biggest.
Yeah, just slow your roll.
It is wild because I did say like
but people are gonna fall off.
No,
they won't. Sadly, Bob, I don't think we might. People won't.
Yeah.
I do think it's wild because I made the argument that they need to put these games out, because of and that's true of all that stuff. But they don't need to like make a whole ass another game in between that. Yeah. Pokemon Arceus.
That was too much.
That
should have been this year's Pokemon game.
I would really want to see a universe where they didn't make one of those games and they focused all efforts on the other one and then made the next one. Mm-hmm. What both of those games actually could have looked like.
Well, I think they
almost had the right idea, making Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl a different team.
But, yeah. That's the thing.
Yes.
That's a different argument for me. They should have hired the same people that made Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee because those games were gorgeous.
Who the hell made that?
I don't remember. It's back there.
It's back there in the sea of Switch games.
And then
I actually really liked it, and I know a lot of Pokemon fans were crapping all over it. But I was like, this is great.
They tweaked the gameplay and stuff to be like part of the whole Pokemon Go thing, which it was a hit or miss. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. Mm-hmm. I didn't need that again. I'm just saying for the visuals, it's so weird to get like a remake after those remakes and have it be a completely different style to the original game and the last remake. It's just messy to me.
Yeah,
absolutely. I really like Let's Go. I really liked Legends Arceus. I think this time around with like Diamond and Pearl and Legends Arceus, they were like, I could tell for me they really wanted to go the route of Legends Arceus for the remake of the game, but they also were like, if we just do Legends Arceus, people are going to be mad at us because it's not just Diamond and Pearl, but we want to reinvent something. Yeah. And they did reinvent Sinnoh in a whole new way. In a really fun way.
You know what's funny? That game was more polished.
Yeah.
And it was a reinvention and something they clearly wanted to do because they didn't have to do it like the other games. I bet they spent, and I'm thinking of this now, I bet they spent a lot of time on that game and they loved making something different. Yeah. And then when it came to this new one, there wasn't as much love or time because they were pushed to their limits and just didn't care as much. And it just kind of ended up being very averagely made.
Absolutely.
I always notice with Pokemon games, there's like one massive improvement, but because of that improvement, something else ends up suffering.
Yeah.
And
it's one step forward, two steps back.
For the 3D games, for a long time, like we got 3D, but because of that, all the models looked awful and they looked like trophies and not like living, breathing people or Pokemon or animals, whatever. And now finally we have, oh my God, amazing. Like I think these Pokemon look really good. Like Pokken tournament levels of good.
I think they do look pretty good. I do like that.
The people look really good too.
Yeah.
But the world now, oh my God.
Yeah, I know. The world is shocking. Also, before I forget this, a pro that we didn't talk about was last time, how many Pokemon were in the Sword and Shield and everyone had a meltdown? It was like 200 and something?
It wasn't the full dex.
It wasn't the full dex.
The only reason.
I don't remember that.
I think there's like 300 something in this one.
There's 400 and something, I think.
400 something?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't know how many were in the last one. Scratch that. But this one has like 400 and something Pokemon, which for an open world game is pretty cool, because I don't know about you, but I feel like we've been playing for 7 hours and going through the same areas. You're like, oh, there's this now. There's so many Pokemon to find. I do really like that.
I've only played one little short road, but walking up to each and every Pokemon was freaking awesome.
Yeah, it is fun.
It's just kind of like crazy to think that when you were a kid, this is how you envisioned Pokemon would be. This open world. Like this is finally the game that gives you what you've asked for from Pokemon forever.
Can I stop you for 1 second? Don't lose your train of thought. You edited a video of mine like 4 or 5 years ago where I was talking, you're frozen, I love it, where I was talking about my dream Pokemon game. And it is exactly what you're describing. And you edited that video for me. Unclipped.
And it just baffles me that like we finally get it and it's the worst performance in terms of like how it's optimized, how it runs. But there's moments in it like even if it's like it's not good. I want to say this before I say it's not good that it does this, right? Mm-hmm. When you see like the classroom for the first time and the kids are swinging their legs and it's like
it's all janky.
It kind of like there's a weird charm to it. Like, oh, it kind of looks like stop motion. I don't mind that, right? I don't mind it when it's there. I just know it's bad.
Yeah.
And then obviously when you're out in the world, and there's a lot happening. There's like 15 Pokemon around you. You're jumping, on your bike Pokemon, and it's like you just see the frames per frame. You're like 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 frames there. It sucks that like it's there, but it's not there yet. Mm-hmm. And I hate going like, oh, but the next one, right?
I know because it's always
Generation 10. It's going to be better, and most likely will be on the next Switch, the
But
next Nintendo platform?
We don't know, because I was saying that if they keep making bad games, people are going to stop buying them, because the only reason we're buying them,
Yeah, but
the only reason we're buying them, the only reason we're buying them for our kids is because we liked them back in the day, you know? And if they get worse and worse,
yeah, but if your
people are
kid
gonna
comes
fall
to
off.
you
Like
and
the
says,
Marvel
"Hey,
movies.
this new Pokemon game is awesome, I want to play it," you're not going to tell them like, "Oh, it's buggy."
It's
Really?
too big to fail.
I think everything could
I
fail.
honestly think
I
so.
disagree.
Yeah.
Not Pokemon.
No,
Pokemon was at its lowest in the
Pokemon's
2000s.
huge.
It still bounced up higher than ever before. The 25th anniversary, when it had Pokemania again, was the biggest Pokemon ever was.
But then if you
And look how big it used to be.
if that's your
before that.
argument, then in the future the games will still be bad.
That's what I'm saying. The worse they get, the better they sell. This is the worst.
But you're
performance-wise
saying in a few years they will fix it and the games will be
It'll
better.
fix some problems. Watch, the game will look better and it will have all the open, but there's gonna be something else to it that completely sucks.
Okay, so there's just always going to be
There's
bad
always
then.
going to be, like you said, one step forward, two
Yes.
steps back.
Yes.
They're gonna we have the game that we want, and they're gonna be like, okay, here, look, the graphics are, but they're gonna do something stupid.
Yeah.
And can I tell you what that is? No, because I'm constantly surprised. They
Just get rid of
all the
Pokemon
good
centers.
non-
They get rid of
non-players
trading.
in the
Yeah.
game. They had that rendered out looking nice. Like, look at the beautiful world and look at all this stuff. And aren't the graphics looking good? Look, no more Nintendo 64
Almost.
trees.
They almost looked good.
They almost, but it looked a lot better. You're like, okay, there's something.
Definitely
here.
looked a lot
It's
better
open
than
world,
it looks
good.
in the actual game, but they definitely didn't look that good in the trailer.
And then you get to the actual game, like the day before release, and you start seeing these comparisons of the actual frame rate, and you're like, oh, they completely hid that.
Yeah.
But guess what? Doesn't matter. Pre-order's already in. People buying their games.
I mean,
And people are going to go, yeah, it's annoying, but I like you said, I'm going to keep playing.
I mean, my argument with
Like
Sword
to
and
play.
Shield when everybody was complaining about the trees was like, it's Pokemon and I'll just play it anyway because it'll be fun anyway. And if this game's fun enough, I'll play it despite all the graphical issues. But
It is funny. I made a
not in a
big deal
point
about
yet.
the trees when Sword and Shield came out.
I was defending them.
I want to go back to a time where the only thing that looked bad were the trees.
I remember that video.
A little bit, and something we didn't touch on because it's not something that we really humor. I don't think is the argument of is it Game Freak or is it the Nintendo Switch hardware and needing a pro.
I think we talked about that in last
Probably.
week.
There's not really a huge conversation to have here because I think for both of us it's pretty obvious that this isn't a Switch issue.
Oh,
This
no, it
isn't a Switch
absolutely is.
hardware issue.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh my
About
god.
to get into it. I mean, you can't go back 3 years and look at Monster Hunter Rise, for example.
Everybody keeps bringing up Monster Hunter and Xenoblade and all these beautiful games on the Switch.
Any games.
Pokemon Company made better looking games than this.
Which ones?
Arceus.
Yeah, Arceus. Scooch swears that Arceus doesn't look better. I think Arceus and Sword and Shield look better than this game.
No,
I think
absolutely.
Arceus looks better because of the frame rate.
That's
why it
that
feels like it
definitely-
looks better.
I want to put clarification. I think this game looks better than Sword and Shield in my opinion.
I think
I did not say
I don't think this game.
not the land.
I think if this game ran at a solid 60 frames per second, because there's nothing in the world and the textures are so bad, it still looks worse than the other two games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because Game Freak failed to optimize and build this video game.
Yeah.
It is nothing to do with the Switch's hardware. Now, if the Switch's hardware was more powerful, would it run this mess at a higher frame rate? Probably
Yes.
by default.
It would be easier for them to run it well.
But there is no reason for this game to not have been optimized to the point where it could have run at
Exactly.
60 or at the very least 30. That's Game Freak's problem, not the Switch's problem.
Game Freak's just out of excuses at this point because
They really are.
when we got to Sword and Shield, it's like, okay, this is their first like big jump. They have to do all this new stuff, whether that was true or not or whatever. Okay, understandable. We get to this, we get to that, and you know, we've had how many Pokemon games on the Switch, regardless of who's making them or not, for like mainline stuff. It's just disappointing to see that there is no upgrading for the other stuff from Game Freak. There is no more like, oh, well, it's their first thing. Oh, well, they tried something new. This is like the combination of everything they've made, and it's still like this is the big thing. Like, it's cool, but it's not perfect, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I just need it to be a little more. You expect a little bit more when you're dealing with Pokemon, right?
Because it's such a big franchise.
It's the biggest company in the world. They have their hands in everything, and they're so tight on their deadlines and everything. They should. It wouldn't. It's weird to think that we got another technically mainline spin-off game earlier this year, and that felt more complete than this one feels.
Yeah.
And it feels like maybe you should work on this game for the 3 years in between each generation, and not for maybe 11 months.
Well,
it feels like we took part of this at the end of when they're finishing up Arceus. They said, okay, take that structure and just stuff it and make it open world. And it felt like there was a rush to make it, and every shortcut there was that can be made to make this game run was put in there.
That's why I feel bad putting all of the blame on Game Freak, because I don't know who is. I mean, they're the ones who made the game, but who's putting the pressure on them to
It's
make
the
one
higher-ups
every
at
year?
Game Freak. The devs are probably working overtime.
Yeah.
Like,
But is it also the Pokemon Company who is forcing them to have these tight deadlines because they need to
Yes.
make new Pokemon?
Yes, Pokemon
Game
runs
Freak-
on a very
And does
strict-
Nintendo have some sort of hand in all of this as well?
I don't. Not to
I
an
don't think
extent
Nintendo
that,
does.
that Pokemon Company themselves has.
I think Nintendo's good with delaying games, honestly.
Yeah, Nintendo doesn't.
Yeah,
care.
Nintendo's
They
good with
want the
delaying
holiday
games,
game,
but they
have
need
it
to
every month.
swoop in with their 30% market share and be like, hey, make a good game.
Game Freak is one of those development companies that's so shrouded in mystery. Like, We don't really know how many people work there. We don't really know what's going on behind closed doors. We don't really know how they make their games or like what the structure is. I feel like out of all the dev teams, like the big dev teams, that's one of the ones that's like, there could be some one day just they get exposed and there's just some wild.
It's 4 people in a
it's like
broom
15
people in a
people in a
WeWork.
broom closet. They haven't gone home to see their families in years. There's all these scandals and drama. Like I could totally see that happening.
And
they need more people. However many they have, they need to double it and start working like on split releases,
they
like
need
Call
to
of
get
Duty.
people who are working on their other games to help teach how to optimize better, how to build better graphics, how to build something that just doesn't run.
They need to do some seminars.
This game looks like Game Freak came in at the very end and was like, all right, let's see what you guys got. Oh, no.
Well,
every Game Freak game that comes out though is like not great. Like Harmonite, Town.
Oh yeah,
There was
yeah.
that
You're
elephant
right.
game.
Every other thing Game Freak tries to do ends up feeling very uninspired and basic.
It's all bad. The only good levels of Harmonite I remember were songs from Pokemon, and even those were like still boring and bland.
I've said for
I don't know how they have the time.
I've said Pokemon every year. For a long time that they're not an innovative company.
What is Harmonite?
Good at making games.
It's not even like, oh, they're scared to innovate in Pokemon because of the core franchise. It's like what Scoot said, like any other game they try and make has no innovation. It's just like they tried making that town game because they said they wanted to deviate from Pokemon, and it was almost like Pokemon if you could never leave the first town. Like it really wasn't anything special. But yeah. For everything bad we've said about the new Pokemon game, I hope it's come through that as far as a Pokemon game goes, all 4 of us talking about it are actually enjoying the game. It's just disappointing that we all deserve a lot better from these games, and we are not given them at all.
I'm just surprised. I like it more than I was expecting to, but it's still it's very disappointingly broken.
Pokemon games are like a rack of ribs. There ain't much meat, but what you can pick off is delicious.
Okay.
I like that.
That's pretty good.
That's a good metaphor.
That was pretty good.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
A little better than the finger.
All right, well, you guys finished up.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody.
I think Nintendo's in a tough spot too. To go back to your point about like with Nintendo needs to swoop in with their 30% market share. How do you swoop in and tell someone, "Hey, you're doing a bad job"?
Exactly like Nintendo does with a lot of their devs.
Right.
They literally just
you didn't
do
let me
that.
finish.
Okay.
How do you do that when they keep breaking sales records? How can you look at them say they're printing money?
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, wait. I want to see that little reaction again.
A little better than the finger.
All right, well, you guys finished up.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody.
I think Nintendo's in a tough spot too. To go back to your point about like with Nintendo needs to swoop in with their 30% market share. How do you swoop in and tell someone, "Hey, you're doing a bad job"?
Exactly like Nintendo does with a lot of their devs.
Right.
They literally just
you didn't
do
let me
that.
finish.
Okay.
How do you do that when they keep breaking sales records? How can you look at them say they're printing money with terrible games,
Got you on that one.
with not a lot of work put into them? How do you look at them in the eyes and say, "Do a better job of making your game. It's not good enough"?
I don't know how much Nintendo. I mean, obviously Nintendo likes the money.
Easy. You look at them and say, "Look, the money is important because we're a business. We have to make money, but the quality of the product that we're making just isn't up to par. This is not acceptable. It doesn't matter how much money we're making. You need to make a better quality game." That's how you would do it. You would incentivize them in a way that is not just purely monetary based. And then if they don't do it, you fire them and hire new fucking programmers.
Money, but I think Nintendo has no problem shelving a game or completely deleting it if they know it's going to do really good, but it's going to be bad.
I don't think this has anything to do with Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo, I don't think has any say on how Pokemon operates that way, because Pokemon knows they have to get out the new generation every 3 years. They have to eat their deadlines. Their cards and anime.
What would happen if Nintendo comes over and says, "Hey, you got to make your games a little better"? Somebody goes, "All right, we don't need you then."
Yeah.
Then what would they do?
Yeah.
They're going to fucking come out on PlayStation?
Again,
that's going to be wacky and wild.
They would make it's Pokemon. They would make their own Nintendo Switch.
Please, for the love of God, I would love that.
That would be the worst thing I've ever seen.
I would love
It'd
that.
be the Game Freak people trying to build a Switch,
Yes.
and they'd be like, "We made this," and it's just taped up, and there's things poking out of it.
To Scoot's point in a different way, why would Nintendo ever be like, why would they care how good the game is?
Because it's such a big franchise for Nintendo, and
But
such a
why do
big
they
reason why
care?
people are buying Switches.
But they are buying the Switches for the games.
doing
As he said, it's
Yes.
selling record numbers.
Yes.
Why would they care how good or how
Because
fun
they have
the
a
game
30% market share in the whole company.
and it's going up every single time.
But it could be better.
Bob,
And it's hard. It's
Because
worse.
there are other incentives than money. Because like it doesn't feel dishonorable to make, your market share go up on an inferior product.
That's
it's
a tough
hurting
argument.
the brand
The
of
quality
Nintendo.
isn't
argument
what's
to
selling
me.
it for people. The fact that it's
Quality is very important to Nintendo.
I know that, but you know what's also more important to Nintendo?
I don't know if money's more important
Money
to Nintendo.
is more important
I don't know if
when
it is.
They don't have to worry
because
about it. They
Nintendo
just know that
throws
games are
money
there.
away when
What?
if
They have 30%
for the quality.
Do you know how much money Pokemon makes?
I know a lot of money.
So 30% to them is
We're
like
all trying to say
making
different
how
things
much?
right now. On the rankings of most sales for Switch games, where does Pokemon stack next to like your Zelda and your Mario?
I have
I
absolutely
think
no idea.
above.
Yeah.
So how?
I don't know. Let's check that. Pokemon. So Nintendo sold almost 35 million Pokemon games in the last year. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl remakes of the 2007 Nintendo DS titles sold 14.65 million units from their release in November to the end of March 2022. Arceus sold 12.64 million. So on those numbers alone, it does look like, yeah, that would be an accurate thing to say. Sales of other games on Switch compared to Pokemon games. Nintendo sets sale record with new Pokemon games on Switch, scoring $10 million in sales. Oh, I have to register. Nope, that's not happening. CNBC. Nintendo said sales of Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet games for the Nintendo Switch surpassed 10 million units in the first 3 days since their global launch on November 18th. Investors are backing Nintendo thanks to its recent blockbusters. The company's shares are up more than 11% this year, outperforming Japan's benchmark I-225 index. Meanwhile, Sony said on Wednesday God of War Ragnarok for its PlayStation console sold 5.1 million copies in its first week, making it the fastest selling debut of any first-party game for the company. Nintendo on Thursday said its latest Pokemon games have set a sales record at the Japanese gaming giant. As it continues to pump out blockbusters ahead of the crucial holiday season, the Kyoto, Japan headquartered company said sales of the Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet Pokemon Violet games for the Nintendo Switch surpassed 10 million units in the first 3 days since their global launch. This is the highest level of sales for a game's debut in Nintendo's history. Are different as they are open world games, allowing players to explore the game environment without completing missions in a linear way. The video games industry saw a boom during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2022 and 2021 as people were stuck at home during lockdowns, but as economies have reopened, the industry has started to normalize, which has weighed on video game giants including Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. Sure, Pokemon is always a safe bet, but the new title has exceeded expectations just like Splatoon 3 did earlier this year. Sony shares closed more than 2% higher in Japan on Thursday. It outperformed Ragnarok by 4.9 million units. Nintendo Switch launched in March 2017 as a video game console that could be both used as a home console or a portable device thanks to its removable tablet that can either be taken on the go or connected to TV screens. Among the Nintendo Switch's 3 best-selling franchises are the Super Mario franchise, which has sold more than 167 million copies of games like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Super Mario Odyssey, the Legend of Zelda franchise, which has sold more than 41 million copies of games like The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, and the Pokemon franchise, which has sold more than 72.76 million of games like new Pokemon Snap. Okay, so that figure puts it above Zelda, but below Super Mario. Get out of here. Any advertisements? Jesus. Need an ad blocker. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the current record holder for the best-selling Nintendo Switch game with more than 46 million copies sold as of 2022. Super Mario Odyssey is number 6 on the list with more than 23 million copies sold. Okay, so this has to be before... New Pokemon Snap. Gotta snap them all. New Pokemon Snap is the long-awaited sequel to the 1999 Nintendo 64 game. Pokemon Snap, similar to its predecessor, the game sees players travel to the Lental region and ride in a hovercraft to photograph and research Pokemon. For Amazon Prime's early access in October 2022, new Pokemon Snap is on sale for $39.99. Okay. But this article also, it seems like it's from October, so it's at least 2 months. Nope, not what I meant. Switch worldwide sales top. 107.65 million. Pokemon Legend Arceus tops 12.64 million. A total of 4.11 million Switch hardware and 55.77 million software were sold during the 3 months ended March 31st, 2022. Oh, updated. Okay, these are updated sales numbers. Smash Bros sold more than Legend of Zelda. That's surprising. No, also announced additional sale numbers. Okay, so what was that figure earlier? It's still less than Super Mario.
How does Nintendo go, hey, even though your game is doing better than ours, can you make your games better like ours? Like, I can't think of a comparison
Bob,
there.
I mean, they could look at their top grossing thing, at their top grossing brand, and be like, well, Super Mario is doing like double the amount that you are doing, so maybe you get on our level or you don't make games with us anymore.
You kind of sound like
what?
You sound like the
the
parent of a child who never studies for any of their classes in schools, but somehow is always pulling A's out of their behind. And you're the parent is like, you need to spend time more on your schoolwork. But you're just like, but Game Freak would be like, why? I'm getting an A. Like, they're getting an A in terms of sales.
We're all making very good comparisons and metaphors today.
Yeah.
I want to say that for anyone I saw a lot of people when I tweeted, oh, the game looks bad, like, I guess I won't buy it. Only don't buy the game if visuals and frame rates are something that you very much care about.
You'll know if this is the type of game for you. It's based on, especially if you've made it this far on the podcast. You'll know if you're gonna like the game or not.
The core is there. The fun is there. Yeah. It's just shrouded in technical issues.
I usually don't have a problem with
frame rate. Okay, so if they come out with I have a big problem with frame rate drops. That's really jarring, and I hate it. But so if they come out with patches to the game that make it run better, like they say they only fix the frame rate, okay, then is it worth it? Then is it not a massive like what you guys are considering a massive failure, and not in a monetary sense, but like in a optimization sense?
It's
very bad. Yeah.
I can't think of a worse example for terrible frame rates, especially in a first party game, for any console of the last recent years. I mean, can anybody?
In a first party game, no.
Yeah.
I can't think of a game that is as badly.
This is probably.
Well, we gotta start calling it a second party because you guys seem to think Nintendo has nothing to do with the fucking games.
You're right.
Exclusive game, however you want to say it. I can't think of one that's built for that console specifically.
For Nintendo or
proprietary game?
For Nintendo, for Xbox, for PlayStation. I can't think of an exclusive game that was built for that console specifically that has had frame rate issues this bad.
Yeah, the only Cyberpunk is probably gonna be.
Nope. Yeah, but it wasn't built for any one specific system. It was built for a variety of systems.
It wasn't even exclusive.
Starfield. Yeah. That's the only game I can see having issues like that.
Oh, that's just guessing.
That's just guessing.
No, Starfield looks like it's gonna have problems. Like, most definitely. And it is being designed exclusively for the Xbox. We found that out yesterday. Well, Xbox and PC. But they're designing it for the Xbox to port to PC is what it sounded like he was saying.
Okay, we good?
You're good.
Okay.
There's sandwiches in the game. Buy it.
Yeah, they have ham on them. Where'd that ham come from? LeChonk?
Ooh.
Must be, because there's no pigs in the game other than Pokemon pigs.
Very ugly sandwiches.
Very ugly sandwiches. Very delicious LeChonk.
I didn't even think about that.
Oh, well, I fought a policeman last night.
What?
Oh, it's a pig joke.
Yeah,
oh,
I got it. I got it.
Oh.
Hey, if you like this episode, wow. Can you like it, please? Can you rate us 5 stars wherever you're listening? Leave a comment down below. It is Thanksgiving. Be thankful that we're even here.
Yeah.
We're actually going to do, I think, our Thanksgiving episode a week late, weirdly.
Sure.
We're going to try and get some more people into the episode.
It's just a family episode.
Just a family episode. We're going to do it this week because everybody is here. But
Give you a sub,
Pokemon,
too.
We have to talk about Pokemon.
We had a lot to talk about, clearly, because we went overtime with one topic. So, thank you, Bob.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thank you guys.
Just playing with a
the
Snorlax.
conversation. Love you guys. Mwah. And now actually all of us are going to do a bonus episode. So now you got to pay $5 to see the rest. So
What?
Give me money.
money.
Oh,
money.
Yeah, you
well,
guys need to pay.
definitely not doing that. Sorry.
Yeah, just like Game Freak, we're about to squeeze
Nah.
your wallets.
That was well, I sped it up, so that was probably closer to like just an hour for me. But yeah, no.